In this video, we are breaking down yet another Hey Brickey video. We're going to play the video, stop, and react along the way. This time, this video is about D23. I got the Italiano with me up next on OG55. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG55. I got George the Italiano with me today. We are breaking down this Hey Brickey video all about D23. George, welcome back, sir.
Thanks for having me back on. It's always a good time. And yeah, I love doing these reaction videos, especially to Brickeys. You know, great friend of ours. So it's awesome.
Absolutely.
Oh, we got the hype train.
Right behind you, absolutely. And without Brickey, we wouldn't have known the word Matterhorny. Exactly. Matterhorny. I mean, come on. You know, you gotta love it. You gotta love it. But yeah, let's dive right into the festivities, Mr. Italiano. We got this Hey Brickey video. What to expect at D23, every U.S. Disney Parks expansion plan. So you know the drill. You know the drill, Italiano. I'm gonna play it. We'll stop along the way, and we'll break this down. Here we go.
Disney's D23 Ultimate Fan Event, the biggest gathering for Disney fans, is just around the corner, taking place on August 9th through the 11th. This event promises to be filled with exciting announcements and surprises.
And for those of you that are not aware, George and I will be there all 3 days, from the 9th, the 10th, and the 11th. The OG55 crew will be there.
But there's one event.
So if you're there, you see us, say hi. We don't bite.
That stands out above.
Well, George does, but only if you want him to. Nah,
of all. An event that's considered the Super Bowl for Disney Parks fans. Any guesses of what I'm talking about? On Saturday, August 10th at 7 p.m. at the Honda Center, Josh D'Amaro, chairperson of the Walt Disney and Resorts, will be taking the stage. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. He'll be sharing with Disney fans worldwide the company's short-term and long-term plans for expansions and new attractions at all of Disney's global theme parks. But what exactly will he announce, and how will these plans shape the future of our beloved parks? After back-to-back very flat post-pandemic D23 and Destination D announcements, Disney needs a big win to keep fans happy. And let's face it.
He's right. He's right. The last two expos have been flatter than the Diet Coke. I'm telling you, Josh needs to come out here and hit a home run. But here's the thing. We talked about it a lot, but not everyone watches every video. So sometimes I like to repeat, some points made. The thing is with this, it's not even just about the announcements, right? Because I think there's been a lot of trust broken between D'Amaro and the fans. Okay, unfortunately. Okay, like I said, I think D'Amaro seems like a really nice guy. I'm sure he's a lot of fun. I'd love to chill with him. You know, have a non-alcoholic beer with him. You know, I don't drink anymore, so but he seems like a good guy. But in terms of how he's run the parks, in terms of how he's kind of handled these expos, these fan events, it hasn't been great. So if he gets up on that stage and he throws everything at us, including the kitchen sink, and gives us a great presentation, that's awesome. The problem, though, is that fans are pretty skeptical. Like, even when they announce stuff now, fans are like, is it really going to happen? We've kind of reached like this Star Wars Kathleen Kennedy kind of like level right now with the parks, where even when things are announced, people are like not really sure that this is going to get built. So Josh has to announce a lot of stuff, impressive stuff, get fans excited, but also instill confidence that these things are actually going to be made and actually followed through. And it's going to be followed through with the intent of like how it's being promised. So like, not like the Community Core Hall situation where it's like, you know what I'm saying? So we need some reassurances here. And it's an uphill battle for Josh. I mean, now look, I'm rooting for the guy. I want him to do well because it means that our parks will do well. But I'd be lying if I say this wasn't a challenge. What do you say, George?
Absolutely. And it's actually funny, right where you pause it, Brickey actually mentions it.
Oh, okay. See,
about,
I haven't seen it yet, but George has. But okay, interesting.
Yeah, where he basically he's going to mention like, you know, this is going to make it or break it for tomorrow. You know, not even just for the trusting of the fans, but also for his career. You know, everything is on the line for this D23 event.
Oh no, it is, and he wants to be CEO, so he's got to deliver. He's got to optically. This has to look really, really good for him.
Face it, Josh tomorrow personally needs a big win to keep his job. But
Right.
raising the stakes even higher, Universal's Epic Universe is opening in less than a year. The competition is quickly catching up with the currently slow-moving Disney. What kind of game-changing reveals, the kind that will make us all sit up and take notice, can we expect to keep Disney ahead of the curve and the competition? Today, let's dive into all 6 U.S. Disney theme parks and explore each park's most realistic location for new plans and new Disneylands. What hidden spaces could be transformed into magical new worlds? Which fan favorite IPs might get their own dedicated areas? And how will these expansions enhance the Disney experience for decades to come? Brickey here, let's uncover together the potential future of Disney parks, a future filled with anticipation, speculation, and hopefully a whole lot of Disney magic.
Oh yeah.
Your thoughts and ideas are a part of this journey, so let's get started. Welcome to Disney's Animal Kingdom, a park known for its incredible landscapes and immersive experiences. Did you know that Animal Kingdom is the largest Disney?
I gotta love the '90s. Was this the Wonderful World of Disney or?
Yeah, in that fashion. This is actually the one of the promo commercials that they had of the '90s that was for Animal Kingdom.
Oh, I love it. I love it. This is cool.
Disney theme park in the world, covering more than 500 acres. Hard to tell because there's not always a ton of attractions that appeal to most customers. It opened on Earth Day, April 22nd, 1998, and has since been a favorite for guests who love animals and animal-related adventures, but that theme has quickly been changing over the last handful of years. In 2017, Animal Kingdom saw its last major expansion with the wildly popular Pandora: The World of Avatar. This expansion marked a significant departure from the park's original theme of nature and real animals, venturing into the realm of fictional, alien creatures, bioluminescent plants, but as we'll discover today, this wasn't the last time Animal Kingdom strayed away from its original mission. One of the best kept secrets of Animal Kingdom might be the theming of Dinoland USA, one of the park's most unique areas. Originally, this land was themed around the concept of...
See, this is the one part, it's no secret, when I went to Walt Disney World with you last summer, my first trip ever, Animal Kingdom was my favorite park. You know, I love this park. I fell in love with it. It's beautiful. The problem with, I think, Dinoland is that the entire park feels very organic and very real. You know, like these are real places. Like you feel like you're in Asia. You feel like you're at these places. Very organic. But then you turn the corner and then you're into this, which feels very manufactured. It just doesn't match the rest of the park. So I'm glad that this is like, you know, basically like on the chopping block, because I think this is definitely the weakest part of this entire park. I think this area, honestly, like a lot of fans complain about like the lack of rides, the number of rides. I think the aesthetics of this land is worse than the park's lack of rides, in my opinion. You know,
I agree. No, I agree. It always seemed like Dinoland USA was, as Brickey was mentioning, this is one of the original lands when the park opened back in 1998, but it was a land that was dedicated to prehistoric times, which I felt like Disney just couldn't get the right formula, so to speak, for it. And to, you know, not down the guy, but Joe Rohde, I mean, he's done phenomenal work with Pandora and Expedition Everest. I have to say this with the Chester and Hester's Dino-Rama and everything was not his best work.
No, this was very much Disney circa 2001-ish. You know, this reminds me a lot of what they did with like the Goofy Sky School over at DCA, stuff like that. Look, we have a good time on Goofy Sky School. You know, it's fun, you know, whatever, but it's very off the shelf, very cheap. So this is the same energy. And I think
you wouldn't be upset if they took I'd Goofy Sky School because you're looking forward to that anticipated Toy Story Land.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Roadside attraction and fossil digs, but it goes so much deeper than that. It was a fun and quirky part of the park that was overlooked by many guests. But recently, there's been a lot of buzz about its future. I'm sure you've heard the rumors about what's coming next in this land. According to recent reports, Dinoland USA is set to undergo a major transformation. The area will be reimagined into a land inspired by the tropical Americas, with a significant focus on the beloved films Encanto and Coco. This isn't just a small update. It's a complete overhaul that will not only bring in new attractions and immersive experiences, but will also take the land back down to dirt.
Well, and it'll also make this area fit the rest of the park because like I said before, everything else feels organic. It feels like you're in Asia. It feels like you're in Africa. It feels like you're in these real places. And then you get into this land and everything is very plasticky, you know, very manufactured. So when you do the tropical Americas, it's in the same vein as Asia, Africa. You know what I'm saying? It feels like the rest of the park, which is a positive thing.
And I love what they're doing with the IP. Like when they're going to utilize Encanto, possibly Coco, and Indiana Jones, they're not just making it, okay, this is going to be an Encanto land. This is going to be an Indiana Jones land. They're implementing the IP, but in a much broader scope of where the setting is. Right. So it's going to be more realistic than it is actually like then walking into the film itself.
Yes, and I like that. And that's why I was heavily promoting Westcott as a third gate here in California, because you can do the same thing sort of with the different countries and you can just have these various IPs in these countries. You can even do that really in DCA. You know, you can have a Latin America land, like, you know, this is tropical Americas. You can have a Latin America land at DCA and have, like we talked about many times here on the channel, and have Coco and Encanto and these various Latin IP mixed in there. You know, you don't necessarily need Coco land. You can just have an all-encompassing Latin land, which if they're doing it here in Animal Kingdom, they might be doing something similar at DCA. I don't know. We'll see, but let's continue.
How will this new land change the face and theme of Animal Kingdom? This area is also rumored to feature an attraction inspired by Indiana Jones. The current dinosaur ride will be transformed into an Indiana Jones adventure, creating a new story, but leveraging the same ride system that already exists to create a new thrilling experience to guests, but a different Indiana Jones adventure than what we know here at Disneyland. And while new attractions are always exciting for fans, this transformation represents yet another step away from Animal Kingdom's original mission. But why is Disney making these changes? Is it about bringing in popular intellectual properties?
But here's the thing, though. Animal Kingdom has kind of always been not just about animals. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, if you look at something like Expedition Everest, there's not really an animal element to that attraction. I mean, I guess you can say the Yeti, but I mean, that's not any more animal. That's not any more animal heavy as say, you know, Flight of Passage, you know. But a lot of these attractions in Animal Kingdom aren't just about the animals, but it's about the culture and the area in which these animals are from. So I think this is a perfect land. I think it stays pretty true to the original mission statement of Animal Kingdom, in my opinion.
Or is there more to it? Despite the shift toward more IP-based attractions, there's a compelling argument to be made. If these new additions make Animal Kingdom more popular with guests, it could prove that Disney's strategy is working. After all, their ultimate goal is to create a park that people love and want to visit, right? So while some fans may complain about the increasing presence of Disney characters and stories, the success of these new lands might just show that Disney knows exactly what they're doing. Out of everything that we'll look at across all 6 US parks in today's video, this is the most concrete evidence that we have of a big announcement coming from Disney.
Yeah.
Building off the success of Pandora, the world of Avatar, and Animal Kingdom, Disney seems inspired to replicate that magic on the West Coast. Bob Iger has been teasing this idea for over a year, striving to keep shareholders confident in Disney's forward-thinking plans despite recent stagnant years. But what exactly could this mean for Disney California Adventure? Whether it's Avatar or a domestic Zootopia, the location to keep an eye on is Hollywoodland, specifically the struggling Hollywood backlot. Hollywoodland at Disney California Adventure has had a mixed history. one of Disney's most disastrous attractions ever was Superstar Limo, often cited as Disney's worst dark ride ever. This ill-fated ride was eventually replaced by Monsters, Inc. Mike and Sully to the rescue. But even the replacement has not gained much popularity, often having some of the lowest wait times in the entire park. Could finally a complete demo and rebuild be the solution Hollywoodland desperately needs? But it's not just about replacing rides. This land faces significant challenges. The Disneyland monorail runs through Hollywoodland, adding a layer of complexity to any redevelopment plans. Additionally, Disney also has long dreamed of expanding into the bus area behind this land, but this would require the construction of a new parking garage, a massive project all in itself. This domino effect of one major project leading to another means that any significant changes to Hollywoodland will require both significant time and money. But for a quicker win, Disney could focus on the space behind the Avengers headquarters. This area is already earmarked for an Avengers expansion, and fans have been eagerly anticipating an Avengers e-ticket attraction since it was first.
And I've been hearing, I don't know, a lot of fans are convinced that the Avengers e-ticket is dead. I've been hearing, I know you have been too, from people we trust, multiple people saying this thing is fast-tracked, like it's happening, like it's actually pretty far along, you know, so.
Farther than what a lot of people are thinking it is.
Right, exactly. So I think at this expo, we're going to hear definitely something about this Avengers e-ticket. Absolutely. And Brickey's right, and we'll let him continue. Mind you, I haven't seen this yet, so I might be getting ahead of him. But, you know, this is probably going to be the most likely because, like he's talking about, it's the easiest to sort of put in there. It doesn't really affect much. You know, like bulldozing Hollywoodland is going to, that's a huge upheaval. You got to build the Eastern Gateway. You got to demo a whole land in an existing park. This right here, you have the land right behind Mission Breakout. You can get, it's basically shovel ready. So
first teased in 2019. Could this be the next big thing for Disney California Adventure? Disney California Adventure presents a difficult challenge due to its tight footprint. While we can expect big changes, we should also be prepared for even bigger delays. Transforming this park is a complex puzzle that Disney will need to solve piece by piece. But the potential rewards are huge if Disney does all of this the proper way, significantly investing in this park for long-term solutions versus short-term fixes. If you expect anything to be announced for the West Coast, set your expectations for Disney California Adventure. While Disney,
yeah, and here's the thing. He made a video a few weeks ago, or maybe even a month ago, and he was on our channel recently talking about it as well. I really can't see them like shoehorning like Pandora into Hollywoodland, or where Hollywoodland currently is, because of what he lays out here with the monorail beam and everything else. It seems like a lot of maneuvering for a thing like Avatar, right? Like for Avatar, it's like an Animal Kingdom. It's like Animal Kingdom. It's a very organic land, a lot of rock work, waterfalls, bodies of water. It's hard to cram that into a space like where Hollywoodland currently sits with the monorail beam and everything. You take a property like Zootopia, which is already an urban setting that fits much more easy in that place. It also makes more sense. You can also keep a lot of the stuff like the red car trolley in that Zootopia environment. Look, I'm very bullish. I think that Avatar is coming to DCA. That's the park it's going to go into, but I'm super bullish on it being the Simba lot. I think that's the easiest thing. It's kind of like shovel ready. James Cameron's going to want a lot of room to work with and play with. He's not going to want a lot of these obstacles in the way, like the monorail beam. If I were to bet money on it, I think it's a Simba lot. But what about you, George? What are you feeling, brother?
I'm starting to lean towards that as well. I mean, actually, I've always been kind of leaning towards it because it would allow them to have some more room to play. It'd give Pandora breathing room, you know, so it can have the overall aesthetics of the land itself.
And a proper transition and all that other stuff that would come along with something like that. You know?
Yeah, I just feel like even though that they would be expanding the backlot out adjacent to Hollywoodland, where the bus loading station is, I still don't feel like, well, let me say this, Disney can do anything. And honestly, they may surprise us of what they can do with that amount of space. But I just feel like if you're going to go to the notion of doing something as big and ambitious as a West Coast Pandora, my money's leaning more towards the Simba, a partial of the Simba parking lot.
Right. Exactly.
Disney looks for quick wins. Epcot holds the easiest and quickest potential on all of our lists. Epcot has recently undergone significant transformation, especially in Future World, now known as World Celebration. This area has seen a complete overhaul with the introduction of Communicore Hall and Plaza, the Journey of Water inspired by Moana, the new Connections Cafe and Eatery. Despite these efforts, the reception from fans has been mixed, to put it politely. While Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind has been a smash hit, other additions like the Nighttime Spectacular Harmonious has already failed and left, being replaced by Luminous, the new nighttime show. Given the lukewarm responses, Disney could look for a quick win by revisiting the space where they once teased the Play Pavilion. This area could potentially be repurposed to introduce a new attraction that would capture the imaginations of guests and breathe new life into the front end of the park. However,
this was Wonders of Life, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. And then Horizons was Bulldoze, right?
Horizons is what Mission Space is now.
So that was a long time ago. That was Michael Eisner. Okay, so here's the problem that with the D23 marketing, that the whole experiences panel is called Horizons, right? Mm-hmm. Which is the name of a former beloved attraction. And this is kind of the issue that we have. We talked a lot about it with our friend Jay Shear, Disney and PR. Mm-hmm. When you put it out there like that and fans analyze and break things down, and I get it, fans will break stuff down to a fault. Okay, that's what fans do, you know? But I think you're kind of leading fans on a little bit by using that word. I think you're sort of, even if you don't mean to, you're sort of like hinting at something with Horizons coming back. And I don't know. What do you think? Am I off base here, George? I just feel like that's kind of leading fans on. You could have chose any other word. Why that one? Unless they are planning on bringing it back, but I doubt it.
Yeah. Well, it's just like we were also having that conversation with Drew, the Disney dude, as well, when he came onto the channel. And he has that same kind of notion where it's like, you know, when you can people kind of take this as like a quote unquote code from Disney, because Disney is very notorious for adding like little Easter eggs and type of things to kind of throw out hints and stuff. I personally can understand where fans might get that interpretation. I don't know if it's just because recently the way the company has been handling things, and we've been, as you had put it so many times, been set up at the altar, left at the altar how many times, that I never really got that initial impression with Horizons. I just took it more as like, because it has to do with the Disney parks, it was sort of like a play on words that Mickey Mouse is looking out into the horizon and like, what do we see? I think that's where they kind of tied it. But I could understand why people would say, you know what? Oh, is this a little hint at something?
Exactly. And that's why I'm with you. I don't think it means that Horizons will come back or anything like that. But I think you're just sort of like, I don't know, even like indirect, like unintentionally, you're sort of creating kind of like hope where there probably shouldn't be, you know?
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Likelihood of this happening seems as low as other parks in Walt Disney World present more pressing issues. In an age where pleasing fans, especially those vocal on the internet, is increasingly challenging, Disney might find that focusing on more impactful projects elsewhere is a smarter move. Making Epcot fans happy might be a fool's errand, but with the...
And here's the other thing too, Epcot has gotten a pretty significant investment these past few years, and I know fans are not happy with everything that they've done. I don't think Epcot's going to get much this D23 Expo. I really don't.
Think so either.
Yeah.
I don't, because honestly, if you even look at the poster for the presentation, and I know again we're talking about like Disney throwing hints and everything,
right?
And some of the icons that they show beyond that horizon, you see the Tree of Life, you see the Earful Tower for the Walt Disney Studios Park, that's in Paris. That's going to get a complete overhaul. You see Beyond Big Thunder. You see all the castles. You even see Grauman's Chinese Theater for Disney's Hollywood Studios, but you don't see anything that's tied to Epcot.
Yeah. Epcot just got a reimagining, so to speak. They're not going to touch this thing. I mean, there might be a couple of things here and there, like small things, but I wouldn't hold your breath on anything big in this park.
Yeah.
Right strategy, even this could be turned into an opportunity for future success. Disney California Adventure isn't the only Hollywood-themed land that has fallen on hard times. But what about Disney's Hollywood Studios? What was once promised to transport guests into the glamour of Hollywood now feels like a very broken-hearted story. How many families have booked a trip, walked down Sunset Boulevard to the signature Disney Hub area, then taken a right under the sign that says Hollywood Studios and enter into the animation courtyard, only to find themselves thinking, what in the world did we just spend our money on? I thought the Hollywood backlot at DCA was broken until I saw this mess.
Oh, yeah.
It actually made me feel a lot better about DCA. This is the second.
It made him feel a lot better about DCA. Yeah, it does, actually. It does. This is a huge problem. This is something that they really need to address. I hope Florida fans get some announcement for this, you know, and I hope it's a bulldoze and a rebuild of something.
It needs to be, because it's a complete eyesore. It's very stagnant. There's nothing cohesive about it. None of it makes sense. As Brickey had just mentioned, you walk through the arch that actually has the name of the park itself, and you're going to have a theater building that's going to be home to the new Little Mermaid show, which is getting revamped. So that might be a little bit of a hint at maybe the direction that they're going, or that may just be coming back just temporarily until they finalize what really is going to go here. And then you have like what we're seeing in front of us, the Disney Junior live soundstage, and then in front of it is the Star Wars launch bay, which has absolutely nothing to do with animation. As to why they even call it animation courtyard still, I have no idea.
It makes no sense. And it seems like this is a significant property. Like, these are some big buildings. You take this stuff out, you have some room to work with here, you know?
Brickey will touch upon that.
Well, let's rock and roll.
Biggest underused space that Disney has in its theme parks. Don't worry, I'll share the biggest one with you when we get to our final land in today's video. But what makes this area a true disaster, unlike our final land, is that this park desperately needs more quality attractions so that Disney's Hollywood Studios can become a full-day theme park. Star Wars Launch Bay, the Little Mermaid Theater, Disney Junior Play and Dance, and all the expansion land around this area could make for a wonderful rumored villains land. Imagine an entire land dedicated to Disney's most iconic villains. There's even talk that this could be Disney's first ever fully indoor land, allowing the villains to always exist in a realm of darkness.
Oh, that's cool.
However, if this land were to be open air, the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror would make a seamless backdrop, adding in all of the eerie ambiance. I don't think a lot of fans have this land on their D23 bingo card, but Disney's Hollywood Studio is one of the weaker Orlando theme parks. Without something shiny and new to bring fans back, this could be one of the several parks that Universal's Epic Universe easily steals fans from. Locals might be blinded by the nostalgia for this park.
Yeah, and here's the thing, though. I just feel like villains, like, you could definitely work it in here. I mean, it would work. I get it. You know, you can make it happen. It just seems like a better fit in Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
It just seems like it feels like a Fantasyland adjacent type of land where, you know, assuming they're going to go with the fairy tale villains angle, which I'm assuming they're going to do, you know what I'm saying? If you go with villains and it's not necessarily fairy tale villains, you have like, you know, Alien and Predator and Thanos, and okay, then maybe that's a different kind of villains land. That's a different animal that would work in Hollywood Studios. But if you're talking Maleficent and like all these fairy tale villains, it just belongs in Magic Kingdom. I don't know. It just feels weird here, in my opinion.
But as an out-of-town visitor, I found it to be a huge disappointment and a bit of a head scratcher. I don't understand why so many people love it, but this expansion area could help a lot more folks like myself find a newfound love for Disney's Hollywood Studios. Disney's two domestic castle parks, Disneyland and Magic Kingdom, are the Walt Disney Company's most iconic assets. These parks are not just theme parks. They are iconic landmarks steeped in a history and nostalgia. Any modifications to these parks should be handled with delicate care. Disney want to damage their legacy with short-sighted quick wins, using current hot entertainment properties that aren't evergreen and won't stand the test of time. 2 years ago, most Disney fans, like myself, walked away from D23's grand finale with disappointment. Josh D'Amaro's big plan was to tease fans with, "Have you ever wondered what's behind Big Thunder Mountain?" The tease was perfect.
Imagine, what if we could pass over those spires of Big Thunder Mountain, and maybe in front of us,
but the fact that there was no actual plans or announcements was the single biggest D23 blunder of all time.
Yeah.
It would have been best to say nothing at all versus building up fans' expectations only to deliver an impromptu Imagineering performance. Stick to building the world's best theme parks. Members of the Groundlings, you are not. This means Disney better come in hot and heavy with a significant announcement for Magic Kingdom's biggest and most impressive expansion in its rich 50-year history. If these plans aren't absolutely amazing, they will fail long and they will fail hard. And let's be honest.
And he's right, because they've been teasing this thing now for like years with the Beyond Big Thunder stuff. You've hyped it up now. You can't go in there and half-ass this thing. Like whatever they do announce that's final, that's greenlit, it has to blow minds. Like, because now you have years of buildup. They really screwed up. I'm telling you, they really screwed up, George, when they were doing the whole blue sky thing, because now there's such a pent-up demand or such a pent-up curiosity that whatever they do pick now is going to be under a microscope like no other.
And especially too, exactly. And to your point, like they gave examples of very strong, hard-hitting IP, Coco, Encanto, and Villains.
Right.
If Coco and Encanto are going over to Animal Kingdom, which there is still a possibility Coco still might find its way to the Magic Kingdom, and possibly Villains, you have to kind of stick with that plan. Or if you're not going to use that IP, you got to have something that can go against the Villains and Coco and Encanto that is just as strong,
right,
or if not stronger. You can't move backwards because you already set the bar with those very strong IPs, and you can't work backwards. You have to move forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Josh's job probably depends on making this a make or break moment, because after last year's performance, 2 people were on that stage and one of them's no longer there. Anybody seen Bobby Chapstick lately? But do the current rumors for this space.
Hold on. I actually have a great, I have a great Bob Chapek drop. And I don't get to use my Bob Chapek drop very often because he's no longer at the company, but
apologize for not being the ally that you needed me to be.
There he is, Bobby Chapstick, as Brickey calls him.
Apologize for not being the ally that you needed me to be.
There he is.
Live up to the moment. Short answer, no. Mickey Views has been reporting with confidence that Magic Kingdom could see Radiator Racers from DCA showing up there. I don't think that a cloned attraction is what fans want or what Disney should want. Each Disney theme park.
Yeah, exactly. And from Braden's rumor, it's not even the whole land. So not only are you cloning it, you're only cloning like half of it. Like that's so underwhelming when you've been pumping this thing, What's Beyond Big Thunder, for years now. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about that fans are going to be furious over.
And that's what I'm talking about when you give examples like Coco and Encanto and Disney Villains, and then that's what you're going to market with, and you don't use that, and then you backtrack, and then you put in an over 20-year attraction into with an IP that, I'm sorry, that just doesn't fit into Magic Kingdom.
No, it doesn't.
That's going to be your headliner for the biggest expansion in Magic Kingdom history.
It's such a waste, and I'm telling you that is going to not. I hope, Josh, I hope you're listening. If this is what you guys are planning, the fans are not going to be happy with that. I am telling you right now. This is not going to go over well. If that's what you guys are planning, just a cloned Raider Springs Racers attraction, I hope to God that really isn't what it is.
All that land that would be wasted. I'm sorry, that would be land wasted for something like that.
Yeah, and Pixar, there are certain Pixar properties that work well in a castle park. I think Coco is one of them. You know, I've even said, even though it's already in Epcot, I think a franchise like Ratatouille could work. Cars Land, though, is a very it's very, very Pixar. It doesn't have the whimsy that you kind of need for a castle park. It feels more like a Hollywood Studios or a DCA, and I don't think it would fit very well here. Now the rock work would look great, but the IP just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Park should have at least one significant attraction that is unique to that park. This uniqueness encourages Disney fans to travel to different parks, and travelers spend more money as captive guests, splurging on hotels and meals and merchandise, spending way more money than local guests, but they need something unique to encourage them to travel to all of the Disney parks. The most encouraging rumors, in my opinion, suggest that this area could.
And that's what I've always said. This is where I have an issue where you make a doppelganger kind of attraction. Is you have that issue, and I get it. It's very, it saves time, it saves money when you're doing it back to back. Now, when you're doing something that's 20 years ahead and you're kind of backtracking, that's a different story. But even to that note, I have an issue where you have the same exact thing mirrored on both coasts, speaking just with the domestic parks. Now, you can kind of get away with the international parks because really, how many of us U.S. domestic park goers can really make it over to the international park? So I can understand where you can make multiple attractions. But when it comes for Disneyland and Walt Disney World, I love attractions or shows or what have you that's catered to Disneyland, and I love the same thing that's catered to Walt Disney World. It makes me feel like I'm going to explore and experience something new. When I think of Cars Land, I think of Disney California Adventure. I think of the Disneyland Resort. That's one of the main focuses why I enjoy flying all the way out to California to experience it. I don't necessarily want to have that same experience when I go to Walt Disney World. I want something else that's completely different than what Disneyland has. And that's one of my biggest pet peeves with Galaxy's Edge. Galaxy's Edge, Batuu, fits perfectly for Disneyland. The rock work, the setting, going off of Frontierland, it works. For Hollywood Studios, it really doesn't. And again, it's the same exact mirrored land. I would have loved to have seen them do something with Star Wars, but maybe have a different kind of kinetic energy with a whole completely different planet.
Yeah, exactly.
Be the perfect home for a villain's land.
Villains.
I was there. That arena went nuts.
Yeah, and it just feels a little gross though that they come on that stage and they're throwing the stuff out there to fans, but there's no real intention, or at least at the time there wasn't. This was all like, what if this is a possibility? This is a fairy tale, basically.
How many more fairy tale stories about your life too?
It was a fairy tale with it. I mean, it wasn't like a concrete plan, and I just feel like they have to get away from this blue sky thing. People go to these expos because they want to hear what's going to actually happen. They don't want to hear what you could possibly do. I don't know why that was a worse. I think maybe that was a Chapek thing that he dreamt up I don't know, or maybe it was a Tomorrow idea. I have no idea. Whoever came up with that idea though, you guys got to stop that. You know, if you have nothing to announce, then don't announce it. But to go on there and maybe what if, coulda, shoulda, blue sky everything, you're only setting you're only like getting people excited for stuff that might not even occur.
Or if you want to have a separate panel that is
blue sky only.
And then they can title that and say, hey, this could be, this might be, what do you guys think? Then people are walking in with the expectation of what it is. But when you're putting this intertwined with the Disney Parks presentation, where since 2009, since D23 had its very first expo, people knew when they went into the parks presentation, they were getting big, hard breaking news.
Right. And you go in there and you say, we can do this, we can do that. It really brings the morale down, you know?
Disney has so many iconic villains that have stood the test of time and are some of Disney's most evergreen characters. So it checks that box of being qualified for Magic Kingdom. A villain's land would be the exact opposite of Fantasyland.
Right.
And those two halves of the same story should absolutely exist in the same park, providing a balanced and compelling experience for guests. Checking off another requirement for putting something like this inside of Magic Kingdom.
And also
rumors from DSM.
And also it's very much an answer, so to speak. Fans love to talk about what could Disney's response be to Universal. You know, I'm not big on that. You know, I really do believe Disney should just do what Disney wants to do. But Villain's Land, it checks a lot of boxes, like Brickey's saying, but it also checks another box, which would be kind of an answer to Dark Universe. You know, it would be competitive with that. So that's interesting.
Why suggest that a Haunted Mansion restaurant could appear behind the Haunted Mansion, perfectly transitioning from a Villain's Land to the existing iconic attraction. The only reason Disney shouldn't build a Haunted Mansion themed dining experience is if they hate making money. This would not only be insanely popular, but also an exclusive to Magic Kingdom, enticing Disneyland Haunted Mansion fans to book their next trip to Orlando. While Magic Kingdom would be the main draw, guests would surely visit other parks as well while inside of that sweet, sweet Disney bubble. This location is the second most important gamble that Disney Parks has, so I hope they win big on their bet. But our final destination is the biggest Disney Parks problem and gamble that has ever existed. I'm talking about the broken Tomorrowland inside of Walt's original Magic Kingdom, Disneyland. Every Disney fan and Disney itself knows that Tomorrowland at Disneyland is broken. This futuristic area has become a mishmash of outdated attractions and temporary fixes. The long-term solution for Tomorrowland isn't apparent yet, and Disney doesn't have the answers for that next big thing to transform this space. This leaves them in a tricky position, forced to fix this current mess without going too far, knowing it's just another Band-Aid on a long-term complicated problem. And once again, before a D23, there are rumors circulating around. The current rumor that construction companies are bidding on a massive Tomorrowland project. But for a decade, I've been attending D23, waiting for a big Tomorrowland announcement, going there with a rumor floating around in the air, only to leave disappointed. Realistically, all we can expect is a repair of what they already have. And honestly, I'll take whatever we can get, because as it stands now, Tomorrowland at Disneyland is an embarrassment. I've been covering this topic in great detail over the years, and now it's time for you to choose your own Tomorrowland adventure. Option A explains the hard lesson that Disneyland learned with Tomorrowland. Option B explains why if the People Mover does come back, be careful what you wish for. And option C shows the complete neglect of Tomorrowland and explains why Disney has ignored the land, but why its turn is coming next.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to be linking this video down below. Check out his other Tomorrowland videos as well, though. Brickey is an absolute friend of the channel. We did a great video with him recently. Make sure you check that out. He is awesome. Absolutely awesome. So big shout out to Brickey. Smash that like button. Smash that subscribe button for Brickey. Great video. I mean, this is interesting. But how many times have we been stood up at the altar for Tomorrowland?
Many times, and we're still going to. I'm sorry, even if they make the announcement of something with Tomorrowland, that may be the hidden surprise announcement, because it doesn't really showcase it on the poster of the Horizons. But even if we do get an announcement of it, it's going to just be, again, as Brickey mentioned, another Band-Aid, just another quick fix, because Disney is in a position they can't spend all that time and money on Tomorrowland right now, because they have to get Disneyland Forward up and moving. I think, honestly, down the road, once they start expanding out DCA, they maybe add in another land or two at Disneyland. It would justify the notion that they can then close down all of Tomorrowland and literally rework it from the ground up.
Yeah, and there's no incentive right now really for Disney to go into a Tomorrowland, just because, or very little incentive, because the attractions are still very popular. Yeah. Star Tour still packs them in. Even Astro Blasters packs them in. Space Mountain packs them in. Autopia is still popular, even though I think it's a total waste of space at Disneyland. All those acres for little go-kart, putt-putt cars. You know what I'm saying? It's a total waste of space. But you know, the kiddos like it, and families still wait in line for it. So there's not a whole lot of incentive for Disney to go in there and start ripping everything up. because it's kind of an aesthetic issue more than anything. Yeah. The attractions it's pretty solid with attractions. It's just the unsightly people mover track, and it's the unsightly launch bay that sits empty, stuff like that. It's not really like the substance, like the attractions aren't that bad. You know, so Disney doesn't have a lot of incentive, especially when you were saying, George, when you're looking at Disneyland Forward, where Disney has all this room to play with, and they can pull in and really push these heavy hitting IP like Pandora, like Frozen, like Coco and Kanto. These are IP that will draw massive amounts of people into the resort. Tomorrowland doesn't have that potential. What are you going to do in Tomorrowland? Star Wars already has its own land. Marvel already has its own land. What IP are you going to put into Tomorrowland that can compete with them building a Frozen area for Disneyland Forward or an Avatar area for DCA? There's nothing that you can do to Tomorrowland that's going to pull those kind of numbers with the merch and everything. Nothing.
That's true.
So it's a tough one, brother. But George, before we get out of here, we actually have a live show with Theme Park Conductor, so we gotta get out of here. But if any final thoughts before we go?
Just again, another great video by the brilliant Hey Brickey. Without him, without the video, this video wouldn't have been able to be made. But in honor of Brickey, because if I don't do this, he'll give me some shit over it. So I got to do it for him. But if you would like to find me on social media, you could do so on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And, of course, you can find me right here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes bricky news and info.
There it is. So in this video, it's bricky news and info, but usually George is our sticky guy. There we go. Sticky, sticky, sticky with your bias Julie right in the front, George.
Right in the front.
Look at that, Julie. There we go. There we go. Thank you all so much for watching this episode of OG55. Comment down below with all your thoughts on everything we discussed today in regards to the Hey Brickey video, the expansions, or the announcements coming to D23. What is at stake for Josh Giamaro? Like I said before, we're very critical of Josh on this channel, but we're rooting for Josh, because if Josh is successful, these parks that we love so much are going to do well. So we're rooting for you, Josh. We're rooting for you. We want to be proven wrong. We want to come on here at the D20 after the D23 Expo and be like, you know what? Josh freaking delivered. So let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Have a great day, everybody. Until next time.
누구에게나 공평하게 추악해.